I'm Mason President Gregory Washington, welcoming you to our Future Transformed, a series of conversations with Mason's leading experts about solutions to the grand challenges of today and tomorrow. I'm with Nathalia Peixoto, Associate Professor of Bioengineering at Mason and a tireless advocate in the recruitment of women and those from disadvantaged backgrounds into tech and engineering fields. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You grew up in Brazil, right? And at a very early age, you announced to your family that you wanted to be an engineer and a teacher. What was their reaction?
Yeah, that was very funny. For a long time I said that, and my brother and my sister both laughed at me and said, no, you can't. You absolutely can't be an engineer, but you should be a teacher instead, because you can't be two things. You got to pick one, and you can't pick engineering. It's like, okay. So it was tricky, saying that I was going to be something that we had no role model for, right? So our teachers were all women, and we knew no engineers were women, so it was nobody else. But I still felt very strongly. I took apart a lot of things in the house. My mom was very mad at me all the time, and I was convinced that was a sign that I should be an engineer.
Oh, very, very interesting. So you were also a first-generation student. And so how do you think that affects the career choices for those students?
Yes, growing up, my mom had tried to go to college and left before her first year. She wanted to be an architect. She never got to second year of college. And my grandma, I think, left in 8th grade. So I remember talking to them, you know, what is it that women do? And usually women stay home and take care of the kids. So all the women that I knew were doing that. I think this affects the choices of many people. So at Mason, we have 50% first gen. I am the advisor of the Society for Hispanic Professional Engineers. And every time I talk to a first generation student, it is clear that we haven't transitioned to a more, to an education system where they understand what college is about. Last week, I was talking to middle schoolers, and they said, but I want to start my own company. And I said, well, you can do engineering and minor in business. And they asked, what's minor? Who's a minor? And so the words major and minor are not the kind of thing we teach in high school, which is understandable, but I think this is not to our benefit. As a university, we want to have as many bright students as we can. And if they know that they can, for example, minor in business while majoring in engineering, we'll get more girls. So this was a girl asking me, what is a major and what's a minor?
You've reached a certain status in your life, and you are here in our bioengineering department and teaching and conducting research. Do you feel as if you have reached your goal?
Absolutely. I never thought that I was going to live in the United States, so this is a dream for any Brazilian, but it wasn't my dream, so this is way beyond what I thought I was going to reach. Of course, I'm an engineer and I'm a teacher, and now it feels to me that being a mentor or getting to learn what first-generation students are going through and being there for them has been beyond my expectations, absolutely.
Well, you're clearly investing time in our communities and talking to young people and to young women about careers in science and tech and engineering. Is that how you pay forward? Or is there some other way?
I think there's more. But one of the things that I've done in the past that I feel it was a good investment of my energy was when my daughter was 5, she wanted to be a Girl Scout. And we went to these Girl Scout meetings, and they were not engineering. they were making crafts.
Like cookies and crafts and stuff like that.
Yes, baking cookies is not engineering for me, or sewing things, so I could not handle that. And instead, I told her, why don't we offer an engineering badge? So Girl Scouts, get badges for certain things that they do. So one problem was the girls were 5. They didn't know how to read or write, so we designed an engineering badge that they brought broken toys, and we're gonna fix them. The idea was to reverse engineer the broken toys. And I brought screwdrivers, flat screwdrivers and Phillips screwdrivers, and they immediately understood what they were for. And we opened all those toys and looked inside, and the girls were they were so into this, like, oh, I found the brain. I found this brain of this toy. Can I take it apart? So by the end, we rarely fixed anything, but the girls were so, like, if this is engineering, that's what I want to do.
I'm sold.
So sold. So some of the parents were very mad at me because the girls went back home and wanted to take apart everything, even that worked, so including their cell phones and computers. They would always ask, can I take it apart? I'm an engineer, can I take it apart? And of course the parents were emailing me like, what did you do? But that was one of, I think, the best ways that I paid forward, at that level of 5, 6-year-olds. So if they are sold on how fun it is, I think we have a chance to get them, at the college level, to come back and say, yes, that is what I want to do.
Outstanding, outstanding. So why do you think there's a deficit of women in technology and engineering programs?
That's a very tough question. There has been some research showing that the way we teach is wrong. I believe the main reason we don't have as many engineering students, female engineering students, is 2 main reasons. So, for example, in Physics 1 concentrates on rockets, cars, and airplanes. And most women, me included, I didn't want Physics 1. I wanted to jump to optics and electronics. I wanted to make circuits to put inside people's brains. And if I asked that in Physics 1, it's like, that's not what engineering is. And so there's some early research showing that in computer science, if you teach people how to program with certain objectives, for example, for the well-being of society, which is in our code of ethics, this attracts more women to computer science or to electrical engineering. The same thing was proven with physics. Just switching Physics 1 and 2 makes the number of women go up. This is true also in high school. So I have several ideas on how to change things to make it more hands-on and more palatable for girls who are already sort of interested in engineering or in math. So we don't have that problem in biology, math, and chemistry. At Mason, we have 50-50. So we have enough women interested in science in general.
Outstanding. So that kind of segues directly into my next question. So these tropes are that girls and women are either not just interested in engineering and tech careers, or they feel overwhelmed by the subject matter and decide on other career options. What do you think when you hear such things?
I think that's a pity. I think it's a huge loss. I think women are interested. It's a matter of offering a diversity in teaching. So we talk about diversity. We want more diversity, but we never talk about diversity on the teaching side. We teach for, I don't know if you've ever seen this analogy, farmers and hunters. Usually our teaching is very, it's lecture-based and everybody's sitting and have to write. I can't sit still for a long time. And actually in 8th grade, I left home to go to a vocational technical school because I could take classes that were hands-on. I believe we should offer the same diversity at the college level. So I wish we had at least 2 tracks, a track that's more theoretical, a track that's more hands-on engineering, where not only we would teach them how to take it apart, but to put it back together following rules, and then we can teach electronics, and then we can teach what the laws are, right? So
I'll be honest with you, I believe that level of teaching won't just appeal to girls.
Oh, absolutely.
It'll appeal to a broader sense of boys too.
And there will be girls who are interested in the other way. So if we offer two pathways, there will be some girls who are very happy with those, the sitting down lecture-based, theorems, and there will be boys who can't handle that want to come and first learn why it is that we're doing this, and then learn the theorem behind it. Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
You talked earlier about the experience with your daughter and the experience of the Girl Scouts and the like. Have you had other experiences with her relative to or related to STEM? And how do those experiences with your daughter inform you about how to get girls interested in engineering and technology?
Yes, I have 19 years of experience with my daughter. She's 19. She's a sophomore in electrical engineering now and enjoying it tremendously, doing really well. Taking classes.
Mason, right?
She's at Hopkins, unfortunately, but she came to me, but she lived at Mason until she was 18. You realize she was in my lab the whole I have the feeling she knows Mason too well. I may have overdone it. So she was in my lab. She still comes in the summer, right? So during high school, she did science fairs and brought other girls to the lab to do experiments on themselves. So she was. So to answer your question, raising my daughter definitely changed my perspective in girls in STEM. So she is now, studying to become an engineer and is enjoying it, maybe despite of my mistakes, despite of me having asked many questions or talked about engineering my whole life. So when I go talk to middle school students, I am much more aware of how the girls are more standing back while the boys are coming to talk to me. So I will reach out to the girls and try to shake their hand. So it turns out I have a stimulator that I stimulate my hand, and my hand twitches by itself. And that's another thing that everyone, boys and girls, they absolutely love it. So you imagine a 12-year-old being his hand twitching or their hand twitching. It's like, it's a huge catch for girls and boys. So my daughter has been my proof of concept. I have tried things on her, and she's told me things that worked, things that didn't work in engineering or for soldering. She absolutely loved soldering, and I see this in the lab. A lot of the students in my circuits class will come to the lab, and we require them to solder, and when they come and make their own circuit, it's like, oh, this is so cool. So.
Well, what is the one piece of advice you would give the students who are here listening to you today?
Yeah, so I hope that the current college students will be great role models for the next generation. So when they have their cousins, the little girls will say, what are you? And if you answer, I'm an engineer, already we're halfway there.
Thank you, Dr. Peixoto, for your insights. And so I'm now going to turn it over to our student audience. Any questions from our students?
I'm part of two women in STEM organizations here, Girls Who Code and also Breakthrough Tech. So obviously we have the same kind of offerings, like trying to get people into these fields. I think there's a lot of majors that are not STEM related that do want to kind of get into tech. And I always kind of encourage maybe do an engineering minor or do a CS minor or cybersecurity. There's so many different offerings. It doesn't have to be a specific type of engineering. How do you think that we can go about making it less scary, but how do you think that it would be easy to just grab someone's attention and retain it?
So I have found the same problem. So majors in neuroscience. So my lab is the neuroengineering lab. So often I have neuroscience majors in my lab who realize they need a little bit of diversity in their learning to be more successful in their chosen career. So if you want to go to medical school and you have a little bit of engineering in your curriculum, you're better off.
Hi, thank you so much for speaking with us. I'm a sociology major, and I was wondering if there is a time in history where social sciences and electrical or engineering sciences overlapped to solve world problems that you found inspiring.
This is actually a sociological problem, right? Women in STEM. How do we understand it? So I have collaborated in the past with a couple of sociology professors. I currently collaborate with social work in education in psychology. So it's engineering in principle is multidisciplinary. We designed apps and wearable sensors for girls to wear while they were in class to try to understand if they were under stress more than their, the boys in the classroom. So we only did a pilot study. You asked if sociology shows up in engineering. I feel like engineering shows up in sociology. How's that? But we absolutely collaborate. Yeah, I think I've collaborated with many departments at Mason and beyond. So this is one of the great things at Mason. There are, each college has professors who are interested in collaborating with engineering, and over time. So for example, food science, we made like a sustainable fridge that you can keep like lettuce for 2 months instead of 2 weeks. So people say, well, did you really make a fridge? Like, yeah, we made a sustainable fridge. Did you make a solar panel table for the Patriot Green Funds? Like, yeah. So, and sociology too, so yeah.
Thank you, Professor Peixoto, for your insight and effort. And thank you, students, for your questions and your feedback. And thank all of you for joining us for Our Future Transformed.